Today's Tuesday, and this is Mandy Chapter 5. On Saturday morning, Mandy emptied her money box and counted her savings. She planned to spend them when she had finished work at the store. Sue wanted to know what she was going to do. "Oh, buy a few things. Can I come with you?" "Well," Mandy didn't know what to say. "I'll be shopping right after work. It would be difficult for us to meet. Besides, I don't quite know what I will buy." It was true. Until she found out the price of some of the things she needed, she couldn't be sure just what she would purchase. Sue looked hurt, and Mandy felt sad. "Tell you what," she said. "If I do buy something, I'll show it to you later. I probably won't get much, though." She ran off down the hallway, yelling at the top of her lungs as she went. "Bye, Ellie! I'm just on my way to the store." Mandy rounded a corner and ran full tilt into Matron Britty. "Gracious, Mandy! Will you look where you're going?" "Oops, sorry, Matron. I'm sorry, Miss Britty. I'm terribly sorry." "My, you're in a hurry this morning. And could you, please, be a little more quiet? I think the entire household knows now that you're going to the store." "Yes, Mrs. Britty. Thank you, Mrs. Britty." And Mandy scurried away. Walking into the village, she passed Jake riding to work on his bicycle. She waved to him and was glad that she had replaced his tools safely in the potting shed last night. Hopefully he would let her borrow them again. She would really have to keep on the right side of Jake and show him that she could be responsible and conscientious. Her garden would never be right if she were not able to borrow from him some of the things she needed. So I'm going to stop there for a minute and just talk about what's happened so far. So Mandy wants to go to the store. It's Saturday. She wants to go to the store and buy some things for the garden. And Sue wants to go with her, and Mandy says no. And she's still not ready to share her secret. And then she runs into Matron, and Matron realizes she's all excited about something but doesn't really know what. And then Mandy also realizes, I have to be really responsible or I won't be able to borrow things from Jake that she needs. So Mandy worked hard in the shop all morning. She was there from 9 until 1 o'clock every Saturday, and she always enjoyed herself. She loved the smell of fresh bread and bacon and coffee and fruit and vegetables. Mr. and Mrs. Jennings, who owned the store, were very good to her. She was too young to serve at the counter and to handle the money, but she did a lot of fetching and carrying. She unpacked the new goods and stored them on the shelves and made herself generally useful. Sometimes in the middle of the morning she was given a hot cup of tea and a biscuit. She was usually so busy that the time passed quickly. Today Mandy was particularly anxious for her work to be finished. She looked at some of the items on the shelves. Soup, chocolate drinks, canned milk, cookies. Wouldn't it be wonderful if she had enough money to buy them all? She decided that she would see how much she had left over after she purchased her seeds, and then perhaps she would splurge a little. Splurge means buy yourself something really, really exciting. Something like special. At 1 o'clock, she raced out of the store and down the street to the garden supply shop, with her wages clutched in her hand and her savings jingling in her pocket. To her dismay, she discovered that the garden store had just closed for the lunch hour. She peered through the window and saw the proprietor, Mr. Simple, clearing away some things at the back. She tapped urgently on the glass, trying to attract his attention, but he seemed not to hear her. She moved to the door and shook it hard. He looked up and she waved, making frantic signs for him to let her in. He hesitated and consulted his watch. So he's like, all right, hi, Gus. All right, so he's like, "Oh, please, Mr. Simple, dear Mr. Simple, do let me come in," breathed Mandy, and she pressed her face urgently against the glass. Wilfred Simple ambled slowly across the floor and unlocked the door. "Well, Mandy?" "Oh, thank you, Mr. Simple. I'm terribly sorry to bother you at your lunch hour, but I need to buy some things, some seeds and things for a garden, and I wondered if you could possibly help me choose some. It's terribly important. I have the rest of the weekend to do it in. It's a special project, and well, could I please buy some now? I have my money." He smiled at her. "Come on in. What sort of things do you need?" "Oh gosh, flowers mostly. Packages of seeds that I can grow." "Ooh, what are these?" She crossed to a box packed with earth that was already sprouting green leaf clusters. They're pansies, ready for planting out. How much are they? About 4 pence or 5 pence a plant. 5 pence a plant? A single plant? Mandy was aghast. But I'll need so many. What about seeds? How much would they cost? Well, it's a bit late for seeds, Mandy. You should have planted most of them in February if you wanted to have them ready for transplanting now. Oh dear, what shall I do? Mandy was in despair. With everything so terribly expensive, she didn't know how it would be possible for her garden with all the lovely things she had in mind. Mr. Simple put his hand on her shoulder. Now, it's not so bad. You don't have to buy pansies, you know. Come and see what else I have. Here, for instance, these are marigold seedlings, and these what you call snapdragons. They're not expensive, and these salvias would be lovely for your garden. They come up a gorgeous red flame-like color and have a leaf that looks a bit like mint. They last a long time, too. Mandy brightened up. Could you tell me how to plant them? Yes, but first things first. Do you have things like a spade and a trowel and a fork? Oh, I think Jake would lend me most of those things. Oh, that's good. Would he lend you a watering can? Mandy thought about it. I don't think he'd let me have it for that long, and I'd need to water almost every day, wouldn't I? Mr. Simple nodded. Well then, let's see. What kind of garden plot do you have? Mandy described it as best as she could without saying too much for fear that Mr. Simple would discover what she was up to. He seemed satisfied, however, with all the details that she gave him. All right, now, here's what I suggest, and you tell me if you like the idea. I think you need about 30 mixed plants. First of all, you should have some of these wallflowers. He got an empty flat box and packed some wallflower seedlings into it. And marigolds would be a nice splash of color. And some of these salvias, like I said, they look lovely. A little plant here is called sweet alyssum. It smells marvelous in the summer. It's a little white flower and it lasts and spreads all the time. It should go around the borders of your garden. As he was talking, he was packing more and more plants into the box. And I think maybe just a few big pansies and finish your garden off a real treat. Planting these out will be easy, Mandy. Just make a hole in the ground with your finger or a stick. Place the seedling in gently and pack the earth around it firmly. Put the plants a few inches apart. Now take this little watering can, and he took a small plastic watering can from the shelf. Now see, it has a very good head on it with the smallest holes so the water doesn't rush through and drown your plants. It lets out nice and easy, just like the soft rain. Water your flowers after planting, and they'll come up strong and healthy. Mandy was thrilled. Here, she said, putting all of her money on the counter. Well, now, the plants are a gift from me. The watering can doesn't cost very much. Mr. Simple picked up a few coins from the counter. You keep the rest of the money, Mandy. He rang up the amount. Is that all right? Oh, Mr. Simple, it's just marvelous. Mandy beamed. Oh, one more thing. How much do gardening gloves cost? She had noticed some hanging on a display. They're expensive. Why don't you ask Jake if he has an old pair he wouldn't need anymore? I will, said Mandy. She gathered up her box of seedlings and her watering can very carefully. Sure you can manage now? Mr. Simple said, letting her out the door. Oh yes, and thank you very much. Let me know how they all turn out, Mr. Simple said. He smiled and watched Mandy walk down the road. Then he went back into his shop to his belated lunch. So, here's a little bunny for today. And that's the end of chapter 5. And Mandy's working really hard on planning out this whole lesson. Mandy's working really, really hard on planning out the garden, getting the materials she needs, getting other people to help her with it. So today, I want you to write about if you've ever worked hard to get something that you really, really wanted. So was there a time when you worked really, really hard to get something that you wanted? And then I'll see you tomorrow for Mandy for chapter 6. Bye.